Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Rob Grimaldi, producer-songwriter. You might know me a little bit from my work with BTS, Blackpink, Martin Garrix, Teddy Swims, and many, many more. And today, we are going to make an original track in Pro Tools using Splice and show you everything about it. So I'm really excited to get started, and let's get to it. So to get us started, I'm gonna dig in with you guys and show you kind of where this began. So I set my click in Pro Tools to 142. It's a tempo I've worked at many times before. I know exactly where to go with it. And this one in particular, I really wanted to go halftime, a little bit of a trap feel, a little bit of an urban feel, something with an incredible catchy lead, and then a pre-chorus that was very chord-based and melodic so that we could write something very singy over that part. This is where it began. This was the first loop I pulled from Splice. One of my favorite things is to bring Splice loops in and spend a bunch of time making them feel very much my own. I think there are so many amazing starts on Splice, but the beauty of the platform and my favorite way to use it is to bring in these samples and really get to manipulating them. So I heard the sample, really loved it. And my first step was, okay, how do I make this into something that would fit the vision of this track? I love the bounce of the rhythm of the sample. I heard some immediate melody tweaks that I thought could be a little bit catchier in it. So this original synth loop we played is right here. And a couple things I wanted to do to it. The first was I wanted to chop and edit some of the melody. So without changing anything else, I want to play you the difference. This is the new lead with some melodyning, some auto-tuning, and some chopping. I'm going to play it for you now. The beauty of lead sounds in especially K-pop tracks, but actually everywhere, is you want them to be hooky enough for people to hear them and say, oh, I've heard that before in the best way, so that when they can continue listening to the record, that's a hook in itself, aside from any melody hook. So I want to make the lead always as catchy as possible. So the original was a bit low, a bit grainy, and it didn't have that like whoa feel for me. Step one was pitch shift. This is pretty simple plug-in work. I'm up 5 semitones from the original, and we've landed here. This is only with pitch shift on. So automatically I'm feeling a little bit more engaged, hearing it at a higher pitch, which is really great. And then just went in with some simple stuff. This is the CLA plugin that just gave it a little bit more oomph. And the other thing we did was some micro shift. And now you're hearing it up 5 semitones from your original, and we've landed here. So even just a little bit of added distortion with some micro shift, and we're already feeling like we've arrived at a really cool lead, in my opinion. So I ran with that. I felt like we needed something a little bit outside of the box to make it a little bit weirder. So I came in here, I loaded up another sample. I think this was it. This was sample number 2. So I was really picking my spots to fill holes that I knew would live without affecting eventually the drums that were in play. So when we go in and listen to all the effects that I added to it, this is the result of that sound. Feels very similar to the original. There's also some like slight alter boy on the formant, which nothing crazy, but just a little bit of like taking some of the highs out that I didn't want there. That goes really cool with the chops. And then the special last part, and the only other part of this lead that I want to explain, is me actually singing it into a mic and then manipulating my voice as well. So this is the last part of that lead that plays into the record. I'm going to play it for you solo. So that, without effects on it, which is really funny for me to hear my voice back like that, sounded like this originally. Very simple. But when you put everything on there that I was looking for as a fourth layer to the lead sound, which sounds extreme, but if it's more felt than heard and you're really mixing strategically, you get a really cool layer. So that pretty simple 808 pattern underneath, we needed like very heavy bottom end in this record. So I'm going to walk you through drums in 808 now, just so you can get a sense of how they play together and then also play with the lead. 808, let me solo it so you can hear it. I played this on keys. Very simple. I love adding a little bit of R bass to that generally, just to give it a little bit of extra juice. Drums, let's go through those and see how the kick and 808 play together. Very simple on this record. And I think another huge Splice addition to this was there was a drum loop that I really loved, and I remember flagging it and loving it, and I hadn't used it in any songs before. I'm going to play it for you on solo. I really love this loop, but I knew I needed to simplify it a little bit. There was a lot going on. There's some 8th note hi-hats happening that I knew would actually mess up the balance of our record that we're working on today. But I loved how kick and snare really hit the transients. So if you listen back, I love the balance of kick and snare. So I remember I came in, I brought it into Pro Tools, and I edited that down so that I would still get the hit of kick and snare with the 808, but everything else in the middle is gone. I had to remove a lot of the hats because I knew that the bounce with the lead sound wouldn't work with that in there. I love the industrial feeling of this drum section. I remember I came in, a bunch of decapitator, a little bit of devil lock, just giving us a feeling of like, oh, there's some grit in the bottom. When I added distortion earlier in this tutorial to the lead sound, I knew I wanted to match that energy in the bottom end. So the drums choosing a little bit untraditional kick snare samples was really dope because it gave us some cohesiveness in bottom end energy with the lead feeling a little bit edgy. And I think that's going to inspire a really cool top line that's a little bit left of center, which is what I really wanted to do. And I love what Effectrix did on this one. One of my favorite plugins. It's some of my best kept secrets. The effect chain on this is Effectrix and Crystallizer, and on a sound that sounded like this originally. I also did some like chop editing on it from Splice in Pro Tools. That was with my chops on there. But run that through Effectrix and Crystallizer and you end up here. Which low-key is probably another beat. If I wanted to start over and try something new, there's something really special in there that could be built. I wanted the pre to feel totally different. I thought it was really important to get out of this kind of like urban groove bounce thing and into something that was more melodic. So came in here, I knew everything else was playing here, and I knew I wanted to jump out of that progression into something new. So I landed here. Now, when you listen to that on piano, you're like, this kid's crazy. That's not going to work in the track. But really, if we shape it with sounds, which I'm going to show you now, it was the perfect bridge from verse to chorus. If we take a look at the pre-chorus, the chords that I just played needed to find sounds that would work with the rest of the record. So I went pretty synth heavy on this one. You're achieving what we just played on piano, which are these. Those are the simple chords of the section, but you're getting so much movement in the synths, which is why we like to do that. I think sometimes when you put too much melody in your chord progressions, it negatively affects the vocal melody of the song unless the vocalist is really going to follow it purposefully. I like to leave enough space for them to imagine what they would do. So there's a synth bass as well underneath here. There's also some effect stuff in here, which is a classic use of just swelling in and out of sections. I do it a lot in K-pop records, do it a lot in dance records, pop as well, but you can kind of hear. We've explained and filled in everything through the first chorus with you. I feel really confident about where the track is. I'm very excited about it. And now we are reaching the fun part of the new, brand new Splice Pro Tools integration system, which is for producers who geek out over sounds and workflow. This is pretty next level. I'm looking at it right now. As you can see here on my screen, Splice is in the top right side of Pro Tools, which is crazy. It's going to make everything much faster for users, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to give it a shot right now. So where we left off, we finished the chorus of the song. We talked about progression from verse through the hook and how that felt. And now we're entering verse 2. And I think I was explaining a bit earlier, we want verse 2 to feel a little bit different with new things added and new things manipulated. So I want to jump in with you. One of the cool features about the Pro Tools integration of Splice is it can actually read audio from your session and give you recommendations of sounds that may fit. So we're going to give that a try. This is my first time using it, so bear with me, but we're doing it together and that's fun. So first thing is first, I was told I should drag in audio from my session into the search sound area here. So we're doing that. And Splice is now processing the sound, and I think it's going to give me recommendations of things we can add, which is crazy, and it did. So it's reading basically key, progression. I gave them the verse 2 progression because we got away from the pre-chorus for this section, and it looks like they've offered sounds that are going to fit not only sonically, but more importantly in the right key of our song. So let's give it a shot. We're going to test Splice right now, which is awesome. So here's our lead sound, just for your memory. And the other cool feature that they built is you can actually play your Splice samples in session at the same time as your playback. So if you want to have your lead in the background, so cool. It worked great. So you're playing your lead. Okay, so two things I heard immediately, and we're going to drag them in. First thing is there are stabs here that I want to incorporate. A piano one for sure, and then there's also one up here that we caught earlier. Yeah, very simple horn stabs that we're going to make sound super iconic. So we bring those in. We're going to verse 2, and you need to think, coming out of this chorus, we want something totally different. So what I'm actually going to do is pull the lead out completely. I'll show you why and how. So chorus. So I want all the top end out of this, and it's going to leave room for the new Splice sounds that we're going to bring in and mess with. Cool. So we automate that ourselves. Piano and horns are actually going to do very similar things here. We're using them strictly as stabs. Taking the piano and the horn, we're finding the correct note for each. Got it. So we're editing these clips. We're bringing them to the front. So we're coming out of the chorus, and I want to make sure the new sounds are hitting on one. Yeah. Love. So what I want to do here, we're going to do some chopping with you, which is cool. I love what the samples are doing. I think both of those can use a little bit of Devil Lock or Decapitator or whatever your distortion plugin of choice is. Everybody's a little different on that. We're going to chop some of these samples up here. Pretty simple. Fades. So that you can hear a little bit of a stutter coming into sections. It'll make it feel a little bit cooler. One more time. And then we're going to build in one more note here on the transitional point going into the verse, which is going to be fun. Let's hear it. We know where it lands. I want to do a little pickup going to this last chord, and it's going to preview what the synth is doing later on. Pitch thing of choice, we'll just do pitch shift here. I'm going down a whole step, I believe. Yes. And that's going to sound like this. Here we go. Hey, let's click on. Big fill there. And then we're back. Okay. What's happening? Got it. Okay, let's use some more Splice stuff and see what else we can add. This is fun. Cool. I like this one a lot. It's actually mimicking the filter we built in on our lead sound, so they might feel really good together. So I'm bringing in the sound. I'm coming up here. I think this is at a... Oh, it actually warped to the BPM, which is great. Let's listen to this one on its own. Cool, so when we're in here messing with this, the most important part, as we talked about earlier, is identifying what you like about the sound and really getting in the trenches and kind of messing with it a bit. So for me here, I love this like one note swoop in the very beginning when it's going. But I'm going to chop the middle of it and use this here as like a low energy, as a low filter thing. I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm pulling my EQ from above, and I want this to feel very muffled and low. And we're going to put that in the front of the verse and see. We'll use that as a stutter piece with the piano and horns to kind of just give it a little bit of mystery in the bottom end. Here we go. Playing the chorus into the verse for you. I love that. That's the perfect bed for second verse. This third one we can actually probably drag out. Let's hear it. Love that. So now we've got our second verse pretty much done. We're going to add a couple drums from Splice because we have it up and it's going to be really easy and convenient. What a great tool having it in Pro Tools. This is really cool. I'm going to verify the last bit of the sample that we just added to have a little bit of a bend at the end. Here we go. Love. Okay. So let's listen to that all together. I also want to go up here and just take some drums from earlier. I think we want a little bit more oomph starting the second verse. Sometimes we'll do like double time clap or something, kind of like the pre. But I think I'm going to go into this drum section here and try to chop up something we've used before that I really loved. So we bring it up. We take it from a different spot of the song. And we dive in. Let's see what this sounds like. Woo! Love that. Cool. Let's do one more search of Splice sounds here for the B part of the verse, and then I think that should do it on this track, guys. I'm really excited. Whoa. Lot going on here. I like the grid on that one for the pre. Let's add that in there and use it almost like we did the horns and the piano. It's going to have its own track when it comes in. I love the import function of just having it at your fingertips. That's really great. So I'm dragging this to the bottom, and we're going to bring this up now into the B. Here we go. Let's try it. We need to hear it. I forgot what it sounds like. So let's solo that first with drums just so we can hear. I need to chop it because I don't need all of it, but I'm cool with that. That's the fun part. Okay, soloing drums and that instrument. Really cool. So now this is where Pro Tools really makes things interesting, I think. We're going to go in and really... I want to make this feel very trappy, this section. So I'm coming up to pitch shift. Usually I would actually route these sounds to the keyboard, which makes it really fun to be able to manipulate very quickly. But we're going to try to do it here. Half step up. Whoops, faded the wrong thing. We get in, and chopping has been one of the most used tricks for me ever, I think. Just knowing how to do this kind of stuff. Oops, half step. Yep. So listening to the track. Cool. We're just going to use these on the ones and add some crazy distortion to the bottom. And then I think this one's actually done. Feels great. Feels ready for a top line. Really cool. And we didn't even bring in our pre-chorus stuff or our verse stuff into that section. Let's hear it with the piano and the horns. Boom, boom, boom. Woo! Really happy with that. Last but not least, because we are trying Splice stuff in Pro Tools here, there's a huge progression shift in the pre-chorus. So I just want to show you guys a little bit of what Splice can do here. I'm going to drag over the synth progression into Splice as a reference and see what they recommend we add to the song. I'm very curious. So I'm dragging this in. To get rid of what you've already dragged in, there's a delete audio function on the top right. We're going to hit that. And then drag the new audio in here. I'm sending them, by the way, so that you can hear it. This is what I submitted to Splice here. I wanted to go simple. Crazy. That's a whole track in itself too. I want to use this more felt than heard. There's a ton of like movement and energy in the sample. Let's hear it again. Cool, let's filter some of that out. I actually like the top part better to use as almost like a reverb throw, and the bottom is just kind of whatever because I have so many synths playing that part already. So I'm coming in. Let's see what verb is on this computer. We got some stuff on here. Let's see. Let's see how that feels. I'm throwing this underneath all our synths just as a bit of a texture change on the second pre-chorus. Here it comes. Woo! Back to the chorus. Really cool. Moral of the story, really love where this track is going. Huge fan of the in Pro Tools integration of Splice. I think this is a way to make producers' lives a lot easier with workflow. And also, the recommendation function is really cool. It forces us as producers to use our A&R ears a little bit of knowing which sounds are the right fit. and then just encouraging not to just drag and drop, but to come in and really mess with everything. I think that's what makes something really unique and cohesive to what you're trying to build. So I think everyone should get out and try this. I had a blast working with the Splice team today. We're gonna write to this track and make it a hit, and other than that, keep making great music, guys.